how they reacted when they see
Fast finish.
and they find out that special.
You will appreciate this. What do you think?
They're here to sample stouts and lagers. But nowadays, it's just about spreading the love for British beer.
Not particularly well known, but it's got a dedicated following and it's actually quite an influential brewery. So if you give it a little smell. It's certainly a complex flavour. So hold up to the light. It's a lovely straw colour, which some people don't get to be nice, but us beer fans quite enjoy the word straw coloured. Give it a little smell. And a taste. Now, in comparison to the other ones I've got on today, it's very, very light. And now I've got an amber hue. Give it a little taste. It can only really be described as medium in most ways, medium aroma, medium body. But
samples of the incoming water.
You need to get one. Have try propagation system. So they were. Okay. So these are the samples that we take. So we're looking for the clarity, the clean and the clarity. Nice clean beer.
Okay, should you guys start or should I start?
You start first.
Well, first of all, I want to thank everybody here from the brewery. This has been a wonderful, wonderful time here in the brewery, and tasting is the only thing that matters. So even if we have the most beautiful brewery in the world, the most beautiful ingredients in the world.
Theo như Kiều Thanh cảm nhận thì bây giờ là ly bia như thế này có vẻ là đã rất là đạt chuẩn rồi, rất là trong, rất là tinh khiết và hương vị cũng rất là thơm ngon nữa. Nhưng chúng ta hãy cùng tìm hiểu thêm khi nào thì một chai bia hay một lon bia sẽ đạt chuẩn để được đưa ra thị trường nhé.
Only after we've tasted it. So it's not even just a batch of beer for the packaging line, but for beer to be moved from each step of the process, it has to be approved by the brewmaster. So even while we're brewing in the process, moving from tank to tank, it has to be approved by the brewmaster before it can move. So, and we do it, you're right, based on the tank, because we fill tanks and then we release based on tanks. So if everything's perfect, almost like you're being promoted into the next grade of school. If you're promoted, you get to move. If not, you can't go. So it's very, very important, and we write it all down, and then like Mike and I will be discussing beers, and we'll say, what do you think happened with this, or did you notice anything about this? Just like teachers would do about students, we make sure that everything is perfect before it moves on to the next step of the process.
Yes.
And if you'll even notice, some brewmasters will even smell the outside of the can or smell the outside of the bottle to make sure that there wasn't something that was wrong with the exterior of the package. Everything's based on taste. 100% taste. That's how you make a really good glass of Budweiser. It has to be perfect taste. And the only way to do that is to get really good qualified people sitting around in a room judging the beer before it moves to the next step of the process. So actually at home, people, when they fill their glass, they're filling the last tank at home. So every consumer
Yeah.
gets to fill the last tank, which is their glass at home, and then they get to make the final taste
Yeah.
at home. And if we've done our job right, it'll be a wonderful experience for them at home.
I see.
Can you act like you are discussing my
Sure. What were the comments? All right. So Mike, what did you think about the bottle? The bottle.
So bottle, it was estuaries, light sulfide. It had a fairly fast time. Fairly clean. I got a hint slight bitterness at the end, so it was good.
Yeah, I thought it was too. I thought it was
I
real.
give it a 7-0.
Yeah, and I thought it was very, very close to the typical Budweiser taste profile that we want worldwide. I know it'll be perfect when it's poured in a glass at home. Thought it was good, and I thought that the next sample too, I got a very slight grainy note, sulfatic grainy note, a little bit fruity. I thought that the end was very well balanced. Thought it was very, very good. So both I thought were right in the profile for what we want.
For the right side, I thought it was better balanced beer. I gave that a 7.5 to 8. So
7.5 to 8.
Very nice beer. They're doing a nice job here in Vietnam.
Oh, I know. It's amazing.
Incredible.
Yeah, and it's important.
For the first trials.
That's right. No, this is both very, very good samples of beer, and I thought the fermenter was right where it should be. So I think we're in good shape with that match coming down the road. In a couple of weeks, we'll be tasting that one too.
That's right.
Well, really good. Good job.
Yes. Good job to the brewery.
With the ending, can you talk to the camera?
Hiện giờ Kiều Thanh đang rất là vinh dự được tham dự được vào một cái hội đồng thử viên như thế này cùng với ông Short cũng như là Michael Kramer và chị Châu đây.
So this is the most important room in the brewery because this is where we determine the quality of the beer that's going out to the customer. So we've already tasted the waters, we've already tasted the malts and the raw materials. Now we're going to taste beer. And if you notice, this bottle is cloudy. That's because this sample is only 5 to 6 days into the process. Very long process, 5 to 6 days in. So we're going to pour this into the glass, and we usually pour about this much, and then turn it, and then smell it. Notice how cloudy it is. That's because the yeast is still in suspension. And if you smell this, it still doesn't smell like Budweiser yet because it's such a young beer. This is a very young beer. And then we take a taste. So this is from one tank. So we taste all the tanks this way to make sure all of them are perfect.
A little bit sour.
It's a little bit tart, astringent, and it also has very strong fruity notes and some other notes in there, but the yeast is not finished. The yeast will finish the beer. So in addition to tasting this one, we'll also taste it, and it moves into beechwood aging and lagering. We'll taste it at the end of that process, and then we'll taste it in the filtered beer tank right before it's released. But it's important for everyone to understand, tasting is not just the final beer. It's all the beer in every step of the process to make sure it's perfect.
Okay.
So after it's packaged, we will taste the bottles and the cans before they go out. Obviously, we can't taste every one of them, but we'll taste a representative sample. So again, we put some beer in here, and I like to taste the beer a little bit warmer because I want to be able to pick up the defects. I like to look at the foam. I like to look at the clarity of the beer to make sure it's perfect.
Right.
And then take smell.
It's very pure.
Very pure.
Yeah.
And then take little bunny sniffs.
Yeah.
And then once you have that, then you take a sip. And then swallow. And you can feel though, even though this beer is warm, very pure, very, very exact, wonderful tasting Budweiser beer. Absolutely delicious. And we'll taste also the can line as well.
Yeah.
So we'll actually pour cans and bottles.
Wow.
And every day you have to do this because we're brewing beer every day.
Yeah.
So every day you have beers ready to have a report card, and then you can see how Mike is writing down his comments on the sheet. So you'll write down your comments every day to make sure that not only did you taste it, but you made a written record of what you tasted. so that we can actually put it in the book, and that helps other people to decide, you know, how we're doing. So in addition to tasting it and saying it's perfect, we also write it down and we file those away. So this is it every day. Ingredients, everyday water, ingredients, in-process samples from the Budweiser brewing process, final packaging. Every day, most important thing we do. Most important thing we do.
The most
So,
important thing.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers, Mike.
Cheers.
Give some comment about the beer you're tasting, like you're just doing the real taste.
Well, that's how we do it. We don't.
Give comment.
Okay, go ahead.
Introduce about the panel first. Like usually you have how many people in the panel like this? Did you add?
So, Con, welcome to our taste room.
Thank you.
Every day, like I said, this is the most important room in the brewery because this is where we make sure that the Budweiser beer is perfect for the customers. And we have our friend Michael Kramer, Brewmaster Michael Kramer from Anheuser-Busch. He and I have been friends for many, many years.
Known George for 20 years.
And so this is where we come in here every day to make sure everything's right in the brewing process, from the waters that we brew with, the raw materials that we brew with. Everything has to be perfect. So every day, all the Brewmasters panel can be up to 10 people. Come in here. We actually taste all the waters in the process. So not only the water that we brew with, but even the water coming into the plant, the water that we brew with, the water that we actually rinse the bottles and cans with is even tasted, because to guarantee the perfect glass of Budweiser. We also chew. This is malted barley that we brew. It's from Canada, and we actually use Canadian barley here in our process, so we'll actually chew some of this. So we'll come in. Remember, the human taste palate, very sophisticated. We do a visual inspection of the rice because we use pure rice. Our rice is, the rice that we brew with is just extremely pure. And then we also check our hops that come into the brewery. So the malt, the rice, and the hops are the main ingredients that we use on brewing Budweiser. After we've tasted all of this, then we move over to our taste room table and we taste all the raw materials.
That's nice, huh?
So very, very interesting, the hops. So let's move over to the table and let's go through a taste panel so you can see it.
So how many people
Well,
are
today
there
we're
in
only
the
going to
panel?
have 4, right? The 2 of us and then the other. You want to sit at this table? Which seat do you want to sit in? I think I did a good job, but my coach would say, no, you made a mistake. And they tell you.
Thưa ông, không biết là để có những cái tố chất như thế nào thì chúng ta mới có thể trở thành một chuyên gia thử bia được, và cái cách cảm nhận mùi vị hay là đánh giá những cái thành phần hương liệu bên trong là như thế nào?
You know, I'm asked that question a lot. What makes a really good beer taster, or how do you develop beer tasters? First of all, I think you have to have a passion for beer. I think even before you work for a wonderful company like our company, you love beer before you even come to work here. That love of beer usually means that you've tasted beer in your life, and when you come here, then it's our job, all of us here, as to take young people coming into our company and teach them how to taste beer properly, to describe what they're tasting, because it's a team here. So you may say you're a good taster, but if you can't articulate it, and so what we do is we do very, very much stages of taste training, which is mostly experiential. We put samples in front of people in a group environment, and when we allow them then to taste the beer, talk about it with everyone, and then suddenly they start connecting their brain cells. And the example I always use is if you walk into a room and you say, what is that smell? And someone said, oh, I just poured some peanuts.
Yeah.
And you go, oh yeah, peanuts. Because you've smelled peanuts before. Same thing with tasting beer. After you've got a great experience tasting beer, you will know when you're sitting there tasting, you'll recognize those elements. So a lot of it comes from passion, you gotta love beer, and then comes from ability to learn the various experiences and then to explain yourself in a very, very good way. And everyone that comes to work for our brewery will usually move in, especially if you're in production, brewing beer, you have to be a taster. So everyone will move into a tasting role, and it's very important to teach them that. Oh, he's over there now. So
Okay.
then it's not a good day. This has been a good day. Mike and I are both from the United States, brewers from the United States. It's really an honor to be here, and it's a great testimony to the folks here in Vietnam that they've not only built a nice brewery, but they brew great Budweiser, which we're so proud of. So it's really been an honor to be here, and really enjoyed tasting with all of you here today. So thank you very much.
Thưa quý vị, về phần Kiều Khanh thì Kiều Khanh đã có được một ngày trải nghiệm rất là thú vị khi được làm chuyên gia thử bia trong một ngày và biết được cái quá trình mà họ đã làm việc như thế nào, trải qua những công đoạn như thế nào, và cũng mong rằng quý vị khán giả đã có những trải nghiệm thú vị cùng với chúng tôi.
Khanh chị muốn hỏi.
No food. It's a light blonde beer with a light honeyed aroma coming from a late addition of heather honey in the copper.